Good Wednesday and welcome back. Glad as always to have you being a part of the program. We'll talk about road funds, which are going to be left in place for the Mountain Parkway we have now confirmed. Tell you more about that in just a few seconds. We'll also talk about an accident on Sagersville roads last night at the opposite end of Maple Street. The car nearly plowing through a home, but coming close enough to do some damage and send one man to the hospital and ultimately jail, we are told. Also, not just do we have some more details about the evidence that the FBI has in regards to the election fraud case that's ongoing through an arrest of a man accused of threatening a witness, if you will, for the FBI in that same case. We also have another filing just in today from one of the defendants in that case, trying to get some testimony excluded from that trial, which begins with at least a conference held tomorrow. We'll have much more on that in just a few moments. And sadly, some sad news from Miss Loretta Lynn's family and some other news and information to pass along. Weather-wise, tomorrow's the last sure day of this beautiful mild. I mean, it was almost chilly out there today through much of it, but very nice, very enjoyable. The 80s are going to make a return. The heat and humidity set to come back in, building up to the 90s by the course of Saturday, and then dropping back down to the 80s thereafter. But more on that in just a few moments. As far as road funds, I did learn today that Transportation Secretary Greg Thomas did inform the interim Joint Committee on Transportation this week that the state is going to effectively look to try to slow down or even put off the start of several projects as far as Kentucky's roads are concerned to try to preserve a dwindling state road fund. Now, he told the committee that for the first time in recent history, the cabinet is facing a low road fund cash balance, which compromises, he says, their ability to authorize new state road projects over the next biennium. They like to have a $100 million cushion in effect. It's been as low as $30 million, we are told, at times, and they are in an effort right now to try to see that they have at least that $100 million on tap in the road fund at any given time. To do so, they put together something they call the Pause 50 plan, and that is going to pretty much stop the beginning of many state-funded projects, and actually in all phases, whether it's design or removal or moving of right-of-way for utilities, construction in the first year, all of this for the two-year budget that starts July the 1st. And in the second year, they're going to try to have $50 million allocated to the state-funded project starts and get them back on the map, so to speak. One of the big reasons is, of course, road fund revenues for the state of Kentucky totaled $4.5 billion over the two-year budget, but expenditures were another $500 million on top of that. And of course, there's the decline in the gas tax, which is nearly 7 cents a gallon. That equated to about $152 million in loss of revenue for just the fiscal year 2014 budget. In Sagersville, very early this morning, if I'm not mistaken, it was 4:41 when I hit. Well, I didn't hit the snooze. Whenever I rolled out and turned the alarm off, I guess was probably what happened. Nevertheless, authorities were already on the scene just ahead of myself, as we were all very close to a single-car accident in Sagersville last night at the lower end of town. It was there that a call came in to 911 about a car which had struck a home with the driver still inside. I talked to a couple of homeowners last night while on the scene who didn't want to be on camera after being aroused from their sleep at 4:30 in the morning to, kind of stumble outside and find a car that had nearly plowed through their home. I understand that. But I did respond to the scene as well as authorities, including Sagersville Fire Department members and Sagersville Police Officer Joshua Peace, and this is what they found. A car apparently was traveling out of Sagersville. The driver appears to have just completely veered off of the roadway, hitting a car, narrowly missing a utility pole, and then striking an earth embankment or ditch where the vehicle stopped and was seriously damaged. The driver was still inside and unconscious upon arrival of emergency personnel. This was Mr. Gamble's vehicle that appears to be totaled as a result of the initial collision. The car then went on narrowly by inches, missing a utility pole, taking out 3 poles that supported the roof of Rudy and Stacy Blanton's residence before the car crashed into the earth and then finally made its stop at that point. Roger Arnott was taken by ambulance to an area hospital. He was checked and released there. I did speak with Officer Joshua Peace just in a phone call update just a few moments ago, and he did confirm that Arnott was also charged with DUI with aggravating circumstances after being medically cleared and taken to the Big Sandy Regional Detention Center. This was just about 4:45 or so. So fortunately, no other traffic was in this exact spot at this exact time. Mr. Gamble did tell me, however, he heard the crash firsthand because he had his lunch bucket in his hand and was getting ready to walk out and get into the car, the same one that was struck as it sat parked next to the road. Some limited details, but we do have some information coming from an official from Loretta Lynn's camp saying that the American country music and music icon across the board is in mourning and has canceled some appearances after what we have learned is the sudden and unexpected passing of her oldest grandson. Loretta Lynn was scheduled to perform this Friday in Miami, Oklahoma, and Saturday in Hinton, Oklahoma. Those shows have been postponed to July the 8th and November the 12th in order for her to travel back home, we believe, as she was already on the road to be with her family. Members of her organization say that the American music icon is mourning the passing of her oldest grandson, seen here in an undated but we believe picture taken some years ago. Her oldest grandson, Jeffrey Allen Lynn, who was said to have died unexpectedly on yesterday at the age of 47. We do know that he lived and worked on Loretta Lynn's ranch in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. He was the oldest son of Jack Benny Lynn, Lynn's second child, and eldest son who tragically drowned in 1984. Jeffrey Allen Lynn, we also know, is survived by 3 children, Joey, Katie, and Cody. For high-speed internet starting at 15 meg for all of your gaming, movie, home, and business solutions, or to watch TV, including your favorite local channels without a contract with hundreds of channels and digital and HD quality, and to stay connected 24/7 with friends and family, a direct line to 911, or to give your business the link it needs, choose telephone service you know is always there. Just click on their link on this site to find out how affordable the latest technology in communications can be. Foothills Communications. Details of a Magoffin County man accused of threatening a federal witness in the ongoing vote election fraud case, which is coming up for trial in just about 22 days or so. Also, in addition to shedding some light on his arrest and subsequent release, but it also sheds some light on some video evidence from what we are able to gather that the FBI has against a Magoffin County magistrate, Gary Rooster Reisner. As for the charges of intimidation or threatening, in an affidavit signed by Detective Greg Motley with the Kentucky Attorney General's office, who is assisting the FBI in the election fraud investigation, Motley details that one of the primary witnesses against Gary Rooster Reisner is a Jamie Gibson, who made and delivered to law enforcement a videotape of him accepting money from Magistrate Reisner for Gibson's vote. A fact that the affidavit says has been disclosed to Reisner's attorneys in discovery. Motley says in his affidavit that on Saturday the 28th of May, a few days ago, he got a call from Gibson, his witness, saying that Gibson had been threatened by Chris Day in Magoffin County in Sagersville. The threat being that Day would cut Gibson's guts out for, quote, ratting out Rooster Reisner. Detective Motley outlines that given the fact that there was no immediate danger as Day and Gibson had parted ways for the afternoon, on the following day he sent another investigator to Sagersville to follow up on the threat and the situation. And that investigator reported back to Motley saying that he did conduct an interview with Gibson, with his mother, as well as Sagersville Police Chief Matthew Watson. During that interview with the investigator, Gibson reportedly identified the person in a photograph shown to him as Chris Day, who threatened him on the day of the 28th. And Gibson reportedly recounted the day's events, saying that he believes that Day is upset with him because of an old feud about a former girlfriend, but saying that the only motive for the threat actually communicated to Day related to ratting out Rooster Reisner. That investigator also said that he questioned Gibson's mother, identified as Hazel Adams, who says that she was sitting in a vehicle about 15 feet away from Gibson and Day when the exchange took place. And she told the investigator that she heard Day tell Gibson that rats needed to die, and that she also witnessed Day spit on Gibson as he was walking away. In a copy of the supplementary report filled out by that investigator, it goes into a little more detail, saying that Gibson had told him that Gibson had gone to the community center in Sigersville where a family reunion was taking place to look for someone for his mother. And while inside, he encountered Chris Day, who approached him and asked what he was doing there. Gibson claims that he explained what he was doing there and then left the building, but once outside, Day called him a rat and told him that you know you ratted Rooster out and I'll slice your guts out. And in the process of walking away, Gibson says that Day spit on him, but that Gibson kept walking and asked what is said to be an unknown person to call 911 because of Day threatening him. It was after that that it's noted that Chief Matthew Watson with the Sigersville PD arrived at the community center and advised Gibson to call the Magoffin County attorney, telling him at the same time to leave the location so there would be no further problems. It's my understanding that after being contacted by investigators, Day agreed to meet them, and he was taken into custody thereafter, but was later released on conditions of no contact with anyone involved in the court case. He was also ordered to return for a preliminary hearing this Friday at 1 o'clock in Pikeville. And with pretrial conferences set for tomorrow, and a jury trial still set for July the 5th against the remaining defendants in the case, paperwork just filed this week, and what we have obtained just this afternoon indicates that one of those defendants, another defendant, if you will, in the election case, is fighting to have some scathing testimony from Scotty McCarty, a former co-defendant in the case, ruled inadmissible in court, just as Magistrate Gary Rooster Reisner's motion to have statements by McCarty about his and others' involvement in the 2010 election cycle not allowed to be heard by a jury, a motion which was denied. Larry, husband of Magoffin County Court Clerk Renee Shepard, through his attorney, has filed a similar motion challenging the same testimony of Scotty McCarty. It's several pages in all, I think about 18 pages or so in length. Just to read a couple of portions, Larry Shepard, through his attorneys, is respectfully submitting his motion seeking to exclude evidence relating to supposed uncharged conduct for the 2010 election. Conduct during that election, he says, is not admissible against Shepard because it's not probative for any permissible purpose. It says that although McCarty claims to have been significantly involved in vote buying in both 2010 and 2014 elections, the evidence he claims to have to offer regarding the 2014 election, especially as it relates to Shepard, is much slimmer than the knowledge he professes to have regarding the 2010 election, and that information and testimony should not be admitted against Shepard as background evidence, as it is not inextricably intertwined with other evidence in this case, nor is it necessary to complete the story of the charged offense. Jurors hearing evidence that Shepard supposedly was involved in vote buying in 2010, believing that he has a propensity to be so involved and thus must have been involved in the same in 2014. Of course, that would be a hindrance to his trial. Shepard acknowledges that Reisner has already filed a motion referring to Magistrate Rooster Reisner's motion, which was filed also in this fashion, seeking exclusion of this same evidence, which the court has denied. But Shepard, it says, respectfully requests that the court nevertheless carefully consider the arguments made herein. It also says in conclusion that here most of the alleged actions set forth in McCarty's statement were 3 to 4 years prior to the charged conspiracy and concerned an entirely a different election cycle involving different people and different actions alleged to have been taken. It does say finally that even if the court finds that as general matter the evidence regarding the 2010 election cycle is admissible for some proper purpose and that the probative value of the evidence is not outweighed by the prejudicial value, the court should place some reasonable limits on that testimony of McCarty so as not to turn this matter into a trial over what occurred in 2010 and to ensure the jury's focus is properly on the issues raised by the actual charges in the indictment against Shepard and Reisner and the other defendants. Of course, the indictment is for actions in 2014, and the government is still trying to bring in, of course, that evidence from 2010. As I say, it relates to the alleged actions by the co-defendants, and this is yet a second attempt at getting that evidence not included, this time by Larry Shepard. No idea as to whether or not this motion may delay the pretrial conference set for tomorrow or the jury trial, which is still set for July the 5th. But if it does, I'll be sure to be the first to let you know. I'll be right back. I got to tell you, it's kind of hard to believe that our neighbors just one county away in any given direction may live less or may live longer than us just based on their area, their surroundings, their social activities, and a whole lot of other factors that go in to determine their life expectancy. But that, according to data put together by researchers at Virginia Commonwealth University and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, is exactly what they suggest, that Eastern Kentuckians live shorter lives than people living in the rest of the state, and that depending on where you live in Eastern Kentucky, the neighboring county, well, folks there might live on average a year or 5 more or less than you do. Using the graph or color chart to your left and then matching it with the colors across Kentucky, and then noticing the shades of yellow and red and orange in Eastern Kentucky, you kind of get the idea. Fayette County, 78 years is our life expectancy. Jefferson County, 79. Moving closer to Eastern Kentucky, it's a bit different. Wolfe County, 70. And then Magoffin comes in at 73, Floyd, 71, Johnson, 72. Morgan County is closest to the state average, and that is 76 years of age. They're living well in Morgan County. Who knew? The numbers are on the Kentucky Life Expectancy Map released this week by researchers at the Virginia Commonwealth University Center on Society and Health and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and they paint a picture of just where we live and what we do and how we conduct our daily lives, whether it be eat, whether we get our health treatment, or how and where, how it all combines, as well as a host of other factors, into our life expectancy. As far as improving that number and trying to raise them individually or as a group and area, promoting farmers markets is a big deal. Promotion of walking and getting up and getting around and being mobile. Technical assistance to develop pedestrian plans. Protecting youth from tobacco exposure. Those are among many other recommendations made by the same study to try to get those shades of orange and red turned to lighter shades of blue. We like birthdays around here. We like them a lot, and we've got a belated birthday, it says, to our dad. Happy belated birthday, Ronald Watkins. Love your kids, Ruby, Joe, and Cassie. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to Ronald Watkins. And that's just one of a few birthday wishes we've got tonight. Going on to the next, it says, happy birthday, John Strong, from your mother-in-law, Ruby Grigsby, your wife, Crystal, and a host of family and friends. Happy birthday wishes tonight going out to John Strong, and I'm still not done. This next one says, please wish my sister, Jenny Hampton, a happy birthday. She'll be, Jenny, I'm sorry, but I'm told to say it. She'll be 40 years old. It's not that bad. Been there, done it. She'll be 40 years old, and I want to wish my brother, Johnny Sizemore, happy birthday tomorrow. I didn't see this. I'm giving this away a little bit early. I'm sorry. June the 9th, he'll be 45 from their sister Doodlebug with a whole lot of love. Happy birthday, Jenny Hampton, and a happy early birthday to Johnny Sizemore. You can tell sometimes I put a whole lot of faith in the folks who have papers in front of me that they are getting them right the first time, because I'm reading them for the first time on air. Nevertheless, swimming lessons have been announced. The Ramey Park pool, the first week is next week, Monday through Friday, and then the next week after that, the 20th through the 24th. It's 5 o'clock every night for an hour. This is for ages 4 and up. $125 per child. Call 349-5102 if you want to get them enrolled in swimming lessons. Don't forget the county-wide cleanup going on in District 1 all week, and then it's District 2 next week and District 3 the following thereafter. I'm not going to announce this every day for the next 3 weeks or 2.5, so mark it on your calendar. You can get those big bulky items, including tires, if they're not on the rim, out by the curb, and the county will pick them up. Don't forget this Friday night is the 5K Glow Run Walk in Ramey Park, put together by New Generation Church to get Christmas gift boxes of love together for Kids for Haiti. Friday, 9:30. Go to ngcfamily.org if you'd like to register, and you can register the night of the Run Walk. And you can also just donate and sit back and watch the really cool event if you'd like. The Sagersville Fire Department has their second annual, is there second or first? their annual. Let's go with that. Their first annual. It is Horse Show, sponsored by the fire department and a host of others for Saturday the 25th. Gates open at 2. Show starts at 4. Call 349-3256. And I'm realizing that my information there for your ways to get your announcements on the program doesn't show up very well in that background. So mail them, email, phone, fax, Facebook, any way you can get them to us. Tell me. We'll tell everyone about it. Our last announcement tonight brought to you by the Magoffin County Funeral Home. A reminder about services to be held for Brian Curtis Peck Rice, 87 of Sitka, married to Helen Arms Rice, who preceded him in death. My apologies. He's survived by daughters Brianna Music, Shannon Lee Graves, and visitation will continue this evening and up until services that start tomorrow at 1, all from the Sitka Free Will Baptist Church. Arrangements under the care of the Sagersville Funeral Home. And to wrap it up on a beautiful Wednesday evening, a beautiful forecast through tomorrow at least, and then a warm front comes into play and heat and humidity roll in for the weekend. But the 80s will return. Maybe not soon enough, but soon thereafter. Tonight, 47 degrees. Man, I tell you, it was a nice, cool morning out there today. You've got to enjoy those mornings, I think, in eastern Kentucky. They're just not necessarily indicative of this time of the year, but still a pleasure, and it stayed that way throughout much of the later morning time frame. And we'll see that again tomorrow. Mostly clear skies tonight. We will see some areas of dense fog after 4 in the a.m., and that 47 will give way to sunshine tomorrow after a little lingering fog. And we should see temperatures right around 80 degrees tomorrow with nighttime lows of 58. The warm front will start to be noticed on your Friday, as that will be also... I'm not going to put any rain chances in there on your Friday. It's a technicality that I have an issue with, and here's why. Because we've got partly sunny and a high of 86 and a low of 66 that night. There was a 10% threat in there. It's not there any longer, so we're not going to include it. And in fact, I really don't have any chances of showers on into your weekend until we get to Saturday night. So even though the heat's going to start to increase Friday, we're going to stay high and dry and sunny and hot on your Saturday, but still dry. I think we'll see sunny and hot conditions. That 20% chance of showers the National Weather Service tells me for Saturday is really not until like 3 a.m. Sunday. So that's why we're going to bump it on over to Sunday where it should be. But then that's when we're really going to see a better shot. Only to the tune of 30%, but definitely the upper 80s, low 60s for nighttime lows. Monday of next week, a slight chance of some showers. Sunny skies, at least, we believe, partly, if not mostly, and temperatures right around 82. We'll see the mid-80s after Monday, I think, for the rest of next week. That's it. That's it for tonight. Enjoy a beautiful Wednesday evening. Get out there while you can. We'll have another beautiful night in store tomorrow night. Then after that, more like summer, indeed, which it is. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another edition of Your News Today. As always, thanks for watching.